When looking at how to dynamically adjust your audio mix, you have choices. We looked in the last video at how events in the game can instigate sound mix modifiers and how these operate simultaneously, acting together as multipliers on the sound class parameter values. But an alternative method is to use the sound mix class override options. These enable you to dynamically adjust the volume and pitch settings of a specific sound class within a specific sound mix, or even append new sound classes to that mix. In this video, we'll take a look at a couple of applications of these potentially quite powerful tools. If we play the game and you press the hash key, we get a volume control settings panel, so we can pull down the sound effects group or the music group, and we can save that so that it will be the same settings the next time we play the game. This is controlled within the Sound Settings Manager blueprint, which loads up that saved data, initializes that HUD, and then sets the sound mix class override to control that base sound mix, the sound settings master mix. What this allows us to do is to identify the sound mix modifier that we want to adjust and the sound class within it that we want to adjust. So in this case, it's dialogue. So this dialogue volume adjuster here is going to be overridden with whatever the saved data is, and likewise the music and the sound effects classes. Now when the slider on the HUD is adjusted, again we are using the set sound mix class override to identify those different sound classes within that base sound mix and apply a new volume to them. The difference between using this override and simply instigating another sound mix modifier, as we did before, is that now we can set specific values that will be interpolated to over time, rather than setting multipliers. Let's have a look at an example in the meadow. So over here we have these beehives, and the player can interact using the E key and kick the beehive, which has the obvious effect of making them quite angry. They're going to come out and sting you. So we interact with the beehive, and we play a buzzing angry bee sound and start a random timer. So every now and again this instigates a bee sting. And again we play a bee sting sound. And at the same time as that bee sting sound, we identify that in this sound mix, which is actually our base sound mix here, we are going to identify the sound effects class within that, and we're going to override it. So we're going to change the pitch. We're going to bring it down by whatever this modifier is. So it starts as being 1, and every time there's a sting, we're going to take it down by -1. We're going to apply that to the pitch of this sound class, and we're going to do it over 0.5 of a second, so you'll hear the pitch interpolating down. So as I get stung by the bee, you can hear it's affecting all of the sounds within that sound effects class, and you could hear it kind of sliding down, interpolating down to that new value. When I exited the bee area, what was happening was here, and we simply say clear sound mix class override and identify which sound mix modifier we're talking about and which class. So we were just affecting the sound effects class within this one, our master settings mix. So when we clear a sound mix class override, over this fade out time of 3 seconds is going to interpolate back to its original settings. If this sound class, SFX in this example, did not already exist within the sound mix referred to here, then the set sound mix class override would actually append it to that sound mix temporarily until the clear sound mix class override was applied. The set sound mix class override has lots of potentially interesting applications. It could, where appropriate, be used to extend the kind of set float parameter or continuous modulators that we've used in the past to vary the volume of sounds or the pitch of sounds over time or in response to specific gain parameters. But its most obvious application is in dynamically controlling the volume of groups of sounds assigned to classes rather than having to set up systems to control each sound individually.